first UNESCO World Heritage meeting is going to take place here in Delhi, in India. This is the first time that India is hosting, and it also will have a very important inclusion in the World Heritage sites from Jordan. To discuss more about that, I'm being joined exclusively in a conversation. I'm being joined by the Tourism Minister of Jordan, Minister Makram Mustafa Qaisi. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. Let's begin with the fact that you're here in India. This is the first time India is hosting. How important and significant is the meeting itself?
UNESCO is a significant organization by itself. And there are two major organs in the UNESCO. The World Heritage Committee, it's one of the most important, and the Executive Board, as you might know. Now, 21 countries decide on whether a site is inscribed or not. This is also important. A site, when inscribed, this gives universality of the site. This gives international importance to the site. This helps in protecting the site. This helps in the management plan later on for the site. And this helps definitely for the promotion and marketing of the site on the international level.
Sir, Jamal, a very important site for Jordan.
Yes.
How important is it for it to be included as one of the World Heritage Sites? And what's the significance of this city?
Any city or site to be inscribed needs to have universal value. They call it the outstanding universal value. If not, it will not be inscribed. And there are criteria that maybe have to be followed as well. Now, for Jamal, the significance is that the history is immense. Jamal is a site that is known historically as a Nabatean site. And when you speak about the Nabateans, you speak about the Arabs. And when you speak about the Arabs, you definitely remember Petra. Jordan is a country that is extremely rich in history. It goes back to 2.5 million years, where they found the first maybe tools that the human race used. And it goes on and on and on to maybe the Bronze Age, the Iron Age, and then you go to the Nabateans that are considered very, very important element of the Jordanian history. And why I stress on the Nabateans? Because we have Greeks that have passed through the Jordanian land and they left their traces, the Romans, the Byzantines, followed by the Arab aristocrats, the Umayyads, then the Abbasides, and then maybe in the middle you have the Mamluks and the Ayyubites, go down to the Ottomans, and now to the Hashemite era. Now, all of these civilizations have left traces in the country, but the Nabateans were the only Arabs that created their own civilization, and the center was the capital city, Petra. This city is an extension to this Arab, Nabatean, Jordanian civilization.
Okay, but you're not just here for the heritage site. There's a lot when it comes to tourism and India-Jordan relations. Where do you see that headed? You will be meeting your counterpart. What's on the cards?
I will call upon him for a solid cooperation. We have excellent economic collaboration with India. And we have excellent political bonds between His Majesty and the Prime Minister. We are proud of that. But this has to be translated into more of tourism ties. People in Jordan are fascinated with India, fascinated with the greatness of the Indian history, legacy, heritage, and the people of India as well. And I know that people in India are so much interested in our region. So I think we need to come up with a very solid action plan so that we can ease the travel between Jordan and India. I think the main obstacle today is the connectivity. Absolutely. And this is why I'm here to discuss this, maybe an incentive scheme for Indian Airlines or Royal Jordanian Airlines so that we can resume this direct connection between Jordan and India.
I agree with you, Minister, because I've traveled to Jordan. It's beautiful. People should be traveling more to Jordan, but connectivity certainly is an issue. Speaking of connectivity, for the uninitiated, Jordan and India have had historical ties, part of the Silk Route, but not many people really are keen on exploring. Why do you think that is? Is there a problem in terms of awareness? Because most of them who know how beautiful Jordan really is. And you have the Dead Sea as well.
To be very honest about it, maybe both of us focused so much on the West and on the Western tourism. I can tell you numbers that the Western European, American, Australian, Canadian tourists constitute maybe today as we speak 15% of my tourism. The rest are regional. Africa is growing as well because I'm trying to open new markets. And we learned the lesson from the Ukrainian war. Today in Ukraine, a war has been raged for the past maybe 3 years or more, but Europeans did not look at Ukraine as a whole entity of a region that prevented Europeans from visiting the neighboring countries of Ukraine, like Hungary, Latvia, Estonia, and you name it, Romania. In the Middle East, if a bullet is fired in the south, the north will be affected. They look at us as one unit. And since they do that, we need to explore different markets. And I say it always on media, we need to explore markets that understand us, that are similar to us.
That's a very important point.
It's very important, and we learned it, by the way, recently after the Israeli aggression on our brothers and sisters in Gaza. After the 7th of October, the West stopped completely coming to Jordan.
Is that so? Is it that bad?
Yes, it's that bad, and I can tell you after the 7th of October, between the 7th to the end of 2023, we lost more than 90% of them. But 90%, mind you, of 20%. So the rest, we need to maybe explore more. We need to invest more in the markets that understand us. I conducted a visit to Africa. I was extremely positively welcomed in Africa. I went to Ethiopia, Kenya, and Rwanda. And I was targeting the Christian pilgrimage because we have very, very prominent Christian sites. On top of the list is the baptism site where Jesus Christ was baptized by John the Baptist. And it is the birthplace of Christianity itself. So if you look at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, for example, or the Church of Nativity, they are very, very important. Nativity where Jesus Christ was born, but the religion itself was born on the eastern bank of the holy sacred River Jordan. So this is significant. And connected to this is Macarius, where John the Baptist himself was beheaded by King Herodos. So it is a martyrdom place of this great prophet. He's great in Islam, actually, and great in Christianity. So we share this greatness and holiness of this prophet.
A lot of people, tourists who are looking to travel to various countries, look at, whether if it's secure, whether if it's safe, so on and so forth, and they do go by what the West is saying. How are you going to convince and build confidence amongst tourists who should be looking at Jordan not to really pay heed to what the West is saying about security scenario in Jordan?
Jordan has been witnessing crisis after crisis since the establishment of the modern Jordan that we know. I mean, Jordan goes back to the written history that we know.
Oh, yes.
Is the first loaf of bread that was made in Jordan. This was like 12,000 to 14,000 years ago. And we have a proof on that. These crumbs of bread are in Copenhagen today. They're testing them. They have conducted a huge report that I couldn't read. I asked my team to give me a brief on it because it is a 500-page report. So we have this, and we're proud of that. But I can tell you that these crises that have been coming back and forth in the region have their effects. But Jordan has been always resilient, or Jordan has been always safe. Jordan has been always strong. This is evident because we witnessed the first, war 48, the second war 67, the first Gulf War, the second Gulf War, etc., etc. But Jordan has been Jordan for the past decades. Even the Arab Spring, the so-called Arab Spring, did not affect Jordan at all. But my proof to you is to invite you and your team. Come to Jordan, spend 2 or 3 weeks, because 1 week is not enough. And if your time allows, and I will definitely accept your testimony.
All right. Minister Qaisi, the fact that you are talking about security, safety of Jordan, how much of the Jordan economy depends on tourism? And how much do you want it to depend on tourism? What is your target here?
It's a huge. 2023, you're talking 14.6%.
Is on tourism alone?
Tourism alone, yes.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes. And the revenue, total revenue for last year, 2023, was $7.2 to $7.3 billion. And this, for the Jordanian economy, this is big. You're talking 6.2 million tourists that came back in 2023. This was an excellent year for us. And we superseded actually the numbers of 2019. And why I mentioned 2019, because this was the international tourism year by far, according to UN tourism statistics and sheets. So we were doing really, really, really well. Today, as we speak, we're just trying to pick up on the numbers of 2023, although we have this crisis, but numbers are still better than the 2019. Some regions...
How much are you losing? What is the loss over here because of the Israel-Palestine war?
From the West, almost 70%. And
in numbers?
In numbers.
In cost?
But in numbers. My barometer for the numbers is Petra. Petra is visited mostly by the West, Europeans. 87% of the tourists that come to Petra, they come from Europe and the West. And we lost 70% of them in Petra. But in the whole of Jordan, no, we're good.
Okay, so but you're looking at larger markets, you're trying to expand in India, is one of them?
India is
the expanding
on the top of the list.
Okay.
Africa is very, very important, as I told you. China.
I
will be going to China in October. We're preparing the program. I had encounter with a very important, fruitful meeting with the Chinese ambassador, and I spoke to our ambassador in China. And we're preparing for a very solid visit, maybe to visit 3 or 4 cities in China, a tour that with a roadshow that might last for like 10 to 12 days.
Okay.
And I see this opportunity in China as I see it here in India, because I'm spending, I could have come only for the inscription of Jamal. The inscription will take place, I think, on the 27th. I could have come 26, left maybe 27 in the evening. I didn't do that. I came for a whole week just to conduct all these, meetings.
Are you traveling
with the media?
Are you traveling to our important sites as well or not? Are you going to Taj
My
Mahal?
program is full now. I mean, I think I should have dealt with it more wisely. But they filled it, my team.
So you
especially with the media, because
you should have actually traveled to Taj Mahal, if not any other site.
It's 3 hours maybe and a half from here.
Yes, it is.
I might do it. I might do it. If I do it, I'll send you some footage.
Absolutely, you should. You should. But can I ask you a few of the more critical questions over here in terms of how Jordan is dealing with the Israel-Palestine war. What's the situation on the ground? How's the government looking at aid to Gaza?
We're doing what it takes to help our Gazan brothers and sisters. This aggression is unprecedented. And the occupation will end one day, because this is maybe the long-lasting occupation in the modern history of our times. And this will end. We are convinced of that. And, violence will definitely breed violence. And violence will be the major cause of extremism.
Right.
So if you look at Israel today, they're just exercising power, military might, and this will never be the solution. If we are wise enough, we need to look at Israel 100 years from now. Where are they heading to?
Exactly.
They need to ask themselves this question, because at the end of the day, if you want to live in a region in peace and security, you need to have normal relationship with the neighborhood. Other than that, this cycle of violence will continue, and the loss will be extremely high on the Israeli side, maybe more than the neighborhood side.
I asked you this because your queen has been more vociferous than any other leader in the region, and it does seem like in terms of the Arab world, she has been a strong voice. She's been speaking a lot about it. But how difficult is it for aid to reach the Palestinians? Has it been very difficult?
To be pragmatic about it. I mean, we're so proud of what Her Majesty the Queen is doing. She's a very modern and vocal voice. His Majesty as well is taking all international platforms to deliver this message of peace. The Crown Prince as well is doing the same.
Exactly.
And the whole government is taking this direction. But to go back to your question, we're extremely pragmatic. We have a peace treaty with Israel that was signed back in 1994, 26th of October of that year, and we're using that. We're using it to help the brothers and sisters in Gaza to deliver aid. We're using our very moderate voice as well to help ease the situation and stop this aggression, and to stop the fire at the end of the day. This is step number one, and I think more solid steps to follow.
Is there a red line for Israel at all? Is there a
I
red
don't
line?
see any red lines. And the problem is in Israel today is that they're following the path of extremism. This is the most extreme government that we have witnessed since maybe the creation of the Israel that we know today. So I think the effect negatively will be definitely on Israel, and there will be a huge impact on the Israeli maybe structure if they continue this aggression.
Before I go back to the tourism bit, because there's certain few interesting questions
I mean,
I need to ask you.
you're asking me today to put my former hat as ambassador. I'm here to speak about this.
I know. But just one last question before I go back to tourism. There's a massive development in the United States of America. Will that change things for you and your region? Should Trump return to power?
I mean,
how does it look
we're
for the region?
We're dealing with the American institutions, and we're dealing with the American state. So we have been always doing this, and I think India is following a course. So either Democrats or Republicans, at the end of the day, there are interests for the Americans in the region, and we have our interests as well to have this very normal and solid and strong relationship with the Americans. Today, we're not looking at the United States as only an ally or as a country that helps Jordan economically and in aid. We have partnership. So we have a role to play in the Middle East, and they recognize the role, they understand the role, and they appreciate the role. And we'll continue doing that either with Democrats or Republicans.
Okay. Going back to tourism now, because that's the major
Thank you.
point of discussion over here. To our viewers, if you have to sum up and tell us exactly what they can do and why Jordan is important, why should people be traveling to Jordan? A few words for maybe the youngsters and the youth more than anything else, because I see that the focus over here is also luxury tourism. Should it only be luxury or also backpackers?
Backpackers definitely are important for us, of course. Now, listen, if you speak to any Minister of Tourism, he or she will tell you about the uniqueness of his or her country. And this is normal. We know that we are unique, but we know that the world is not revolving around us. There are a lot of unique places. But if we speak about the uniqueness of the Jordanian product, I can give just a few examples.
Please do.
The Dead Sea. The Dead Sea is the largest spa on earth. It is 440 meters below the sea level. It is the most concentrated lake of minerals in the whole world. So there's only one Dead Sea. This is unique. The baptism site I mentioned, there's only one site that Jesus Christ was baptized. And there's only one birthplace of Christianity. It is a baptism site. Petra, you will have extensions of Petra. Majman is one of them. Rasas is one of them. In Sinai, you might find traces. In some other parts, in the southern part of Jordan, you might have some places. Gaza itself, the port, was an extension to this Nabatean civilization and kingdom, maybe a small empire. But there's only one Petra, because it is the capital city of this huge civilization. So these unique sites you will find only in Jordan. And there is a lot more. You're talking, Gita, about 100,000 archaeological sites in Jordan, according to the latest mapping that we have conducted. Only, and I say only, 16,000 of them are registered on our national register, and a lot to come. So it's an open museum.
And in terms of luxury tourism, what are we looking at? How does that weigh for Jordan?
Amman is very luxurious, and the hotels in Amman are top. The Dead Sea, we have a lot of, I don't call them 5-star hotels because they're beyond that. I say 7+.
Oh, wow.
Yes, wellness, spa, treatment. I mean, I know that India is known for that. And I hope that I will have the opportunity to do something like this if my schedule allows. I will do it. But Amman, Dead Sea, Petra, Aqaba, there are a lot of luxury hotels as well. Yoga, meditation, snorkeling, diving, and food.
Okay, and a lot of food. I've been there. It's delicious. Thank you so much, Minister Qaisi, for joining us and speaking to us in your role as tourism minister, but also wearing your diplomatic hat as well. Thank you so much.
Thanks to you. All the best. Thank you.